Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 Nerds by Nerds, hanging out with this guy.
I'm Ted.
And today we're answering some of Boris what was the name? Strimlin? I think it is. I'm sorry, Boris, if I'm messing up the last name. I suck, I know. Anyway, he had some questions about our shared gaming, Game Master tip world building video about Gryphongaff. So, we're doing this little mini series of videos on that, and this time we're going to discuss how I stole Gryphongaff from Ted.
So before we get into that, why don't you guys go down to the description below, sign up for the newsletter, get tips delivered straight to your inbox. It's awesome. So when his question is was it a mutual decision to run in Gryphongaff, or how did things come about it? So when we decided to run in our homebrew world, the group sat down and we kind of built Gryphongaff, and I came up with this whole story of this humanoid invasion in the area, and that it was a boom town, and that things were growing. And throughout the campaign, it's always been it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger, it's getting bigger. Despite all the issues that are going on, people are drawn to this place.
So I don't really remember. I know I came up with the name Gryphongaff.
Mm-hmm.
And because everyone misspells it, because I spell it weird.
Because it's not like the actual monster Griffin.
I spell it the old English way.
Right.
And I don't know, I just like that spelling. And I do remember us having some discussions. Now, bear with us, folks. We started these campaigns over a year ago. So we've been going with them for a while. We're we only essentially play once a month for each campaign, and we're at session 15 with them.
Right.
So the initial, I remember working on us doing some, I remember doing an initial workup for Gryphongaff and typing things up on Word and sending it to you.
Yeah, you would come up with a handful of different shops and NPCs that we've worked with a little bit at the beginning. Some of that is kind of passed to the wayside and out of my RAM, if you will. But when it came time to, hey, Dave's gonna run a game as well, I was kind of a little shocked when the campaign starts and it's oh, we're just outside of Gryphongaff. So well, in session 0, we probably discussed some of this stuff because we did do a session 0. We did do a session 0, so it might have been a little bit of a conundrum there. But I do remember the information of, okay, well, I'm running a game out of here, and now so are you. And it not that I was bothered or insulted or in any way, shape, or form at us running out of the same town, but I was worried at first of well, how the heck is this going to happen? How is this going to butt up against my campaign and the things that I've got going on? Typically in years past, there's always been, we have one DM at a time. We don't have multiple games going, and we never have 2 games going out of the same locale. Right,
we would break up into different regions. I was just being lazy. I just figured, why do double duty? Or why not just do double duty and use the same material over and over again? NPCs, backdrop. And so, when I started, I kind of just consciously made the decision that I was going to use plot hooks and plot devices that ran in different directions than what Ted was doing. And then I would use what was going on in the other campaign as a backdrop for flavor.
Right. So there's things that will happen in one game that influences the events of the other game and vice versa. So it adds for some definite unique situations.
For instance, in my game, the Wild Mage Sorcerer accidentally burnt the bar down.
Right.
Burnt one of the inns down. So, obviously that inn shut down for a while. Nobody can go there while it's getting fixed. In Ted's game, he shut down the bakery with the good bread. So, because he was expanding. So while he was expanding, nobody in any of the campaigns could get the good bread. Lyndon Helmsworthy became the mayor, so that character is pretty prominent. And I did something in my game. You know, Boris had mentioned something that we had said that Ted said annoyed him a little. Maybe it was when I instituted the council.
Yeah, I don't particularly recall any specific event that made me annoyed. So, Boris, if you want to cite whatever it is that you think that I got upset over, because I either got upset and let it go, or, you misinterpreted, something I said. I don't have a problem with the council. I think it's a good idea, and it makes logical sense to have a checks and balances when you've got someone who's like, oh yeah, by the way, the last several decades I've been a bad guy.
Oops. Yeah, I just figured they needed an interim government while they were figuring out who was going to be the mayor. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it from that standpoint. So these people, respected people in the community, stepped up. And then I looked at it. You know what? Once people have power, they don't like to give it back. So they probably, did a little political maneuvering of on their own in order to maintain the power that they had. And then thirdly, they probably honestly want to protect the town.
Right. There's probably political machinations that it's like, well, we want to protect the town, or I want to protect the town, but so there's always room for. When things happen by either DM, you create these things where something can happen. So, Dave created the council, and I grabbed someone at random because one of the council members was going to get killed, and a few sessions back there was a whole haunted house situation that they explored, and they found at the end that one of the council members was killed in his own home. So it was interesting to go through that. I don't believe that you actually had any ramifications because of it. It was just like, all right, well, the town moved on. Supposedly in the background somebody else stepped up and filled that slot, but. Yeah.
I went, great idea, Ted. Now I'm going to attack more of the council people. And a couple sessions later, their houses are burning down.
Right.
So there's been a lot of back and forth with it. We don't discuss it. We really didn't consciously decide to do it together per se. It's just that we had already been working on the town together, mm-hmm. and at that point, I think you and I had put in the most work into it.
Right. And again, that's gonna be the case when you've got people who are DMs. You're gonna have the most input because you need to be able to set up the things that are important to you. If you have an adventuring party within a locale, you need inns, you need taverns, you need smiths, you need the things that people are going to go to, and low-level adventurers. They're going to need a place to drink. They're going to need a place to sleep. They're going to need a place to buy, new weapons or upgrade their armor. So those three things are something that are utterly important to have. And who cares about the bakery? Well, the PCs cared about it, so they created it. One of the players actually named it, and I just wrote it down, and we've gone with it, from there. So the fact that, we created these places, and then Dave says, well, let's wind up having, both games going out of there so that we don't have to go create this whole new section of the world. We don't have to go create a whole new political structure, a whole new, set of, locales and places of interest.
I've even run a couple one-shots,
mm-hmm.
Based in Gryphongaff, using some of the stuff that was going on.
You did Trouble with the Prospectors,
and I did when the mayor got kidnapped.
Yep, or the to-be mayor got kidnapped.
The to-be mayor got kidnapped.
So, and that's been pretty interesting to wind up going through that. I was actually a player in the Trouble with Prospectors. And that wound up creating another NPC in town who is my player character, and that wound up getting mentioned in a later story because a random effect that happened was that there was a mushroom that could talk. Well, my gnomish illusionist thought that was just hysterical, so he transplanted it and brought it back to town.
Yeah, and he's got a house there with the mushrooms planted at the house, and then I don't know if the players in that game needed to talk to the gnome for something specifically, or if the goblins learned about the mushroom and just wanted to find it.
They wanted to go talk to the mushroom. They thought it was hysterical as well.
Yes, and one of them may have been trying to put it in a pot to cook. And one of them may have been defending it. So, as with the Gobloos, they're quite contrary. So, all in all, a lot of our stuff has been random and happenstance. We don't really plan much together. Even the decision to run, both of us run in the same town, kind of was like, Ted's already doing it. I've already put work in to help them build this town. You know what? It's there already. We'll use it, and we'll just work around the details. And so far, it's worked out okay.
There's definitely advantages. As I said, when something happens in one game, it influences the other, and sometimes it's a detriment. Where it's like, well, crap, I was planning to use that, or but most of the time it's usually, hey, that spurs an idea, that I can go do this other thing, and I've found it far more enjoyable than my initial shock and bewilderment. It really thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be a headache that was just going to have me pounding my head against the wall.
Total cluster F. Yeah.
But it really hasn't. There's only been a couple things at most that have been any kind of minor issue, and there's been no major issues at all. I'll knock on some wood here.
Yeah, some fake wood, some faux wood. I think from my standpoint, there's been nothing that you've done that I would even raise an eye at. Like, I just go with the punches, and okay, well, I can incorporate that as some background information in my campaign, and
and that's usually what it's been. Like, I don't know what Boris thought I got my ire up. As I said, the whole thing with Falona Hellblade or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really upset me, but it was just like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, who knew?
I
was so deeply enmeshed in Thalon Leafblade's love affairs. I thought I would have known this one.
But like Thalon Leafblade was my creation, and it was like, he's going ahead and making changes about that, So I mean, it didn't really upset me. It just kind of, there's times where I was thrown for a loop, and there's nothing that's really upset any of my actual plans. So,
damn it, I'll have to try harder. So there you go, Boris. There's another answer to one of your questions. For the rest of you guys, can let us know what you think in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
And if you feel like helping us out in a fiscal way, feel free to support us over on Patreon.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.